Dear Father God, thank you for the community that we live in. We ask for your continued hand of grace upon our schools, our police, our fire, our service, our administrative professionals. We're just very thankful, and we ask that you would allow us and guide us to be good stewards in your name. Amen.
Mr. Hamer?
Here.
Mr. Lowry?
Here.
Mr. Scholes?
Here.
Mr. Smolik?
Here.
Mr. Ziegler?
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Ms. Grazia?
To the reading and approval of minutes of September 18, 2023 work session. Need a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Roll call, Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Lowry?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
To the minutes of the September 18th, 2023 council meeting. Motion?
Need a second? Second, sir?
Ms. Rowley?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Lowry?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Grazia?
Yes.
Okay, on to department reports. Chief Hutton?
Thank you, Mr. Smolik. The September report was sent out today. You should have all got that. Very busy month again. 118 calls. We're on pace for our busiest year ever at this point. The Station 2 project that Mr. Schultz spoke of is underway. We're still wrapping up the permitting process. We got to go through the building department, do a few things, but we should start that project pretty soon. So the POs are secured, working with the mayor and Mr. Slapnicker on that. The new pickup truck has been delivered. We have it. Working on getting the install as far as lights, sirens, radios. Worked with some different vendors. We did find a local vendor that will do that. Hopefully we'll have that ready to go within a few weeks. Other than that, I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Chief Hutton?
Chief, not a Kirtland question. Are all departments across the board seeing their busiest year ever?
I'm not sure if all of them are, but everyone's very busy. I will tell you that.
Our little neck of the woods.
Our area, we are all busy. Yeah, we had a Chiefs meeting the other day, and we're all running a lot of squad calls. The hospitals are full again, but we haven't had as many delays as we had in the past. So,
How's it going with the new hospital on 615?
new hospital on 615 has been great for us. We're still with University Hospital for our med control. They do a great job for us, but we always try to take the patients where they want to go. And, that being a Cleveland Clinic facility, probably about half of our calls, want to go to a Cleveland Clinic facility. Some have to go to Hillcrest, but if we can take them to Mentor Hospital, we do. I did not run the final numbers, but I'm going to guess probably about 40% of our calls last month went to Mentor. And that turnaround time is almost immediate for us. So you talked about overtime. A lot of our overtime costs have always been in, putting out recalls when we send multiple people to the hospital or multiple squad calls. We've been able to reduce that with this hospital right on our border.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Hutton? Per the new truck, Chief, what do you end up loading that thing up with? What kind of gear goes into that vehicle?
The vehicle itself is a Chevy 2500, and it'll be our command vehicle. It'll also serve as a chase vehicle. So it'll have all the basics for rope rescue for us to do, be able to rappel down and grab somebody if we need to over a hillside, not necessarily a high angle rescue. It'll have water rescue equipment. fire extinguishers. It'll have, all of our incident command kits, medical supplies, AED, everything that you would need on a first response vehicle.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Hutton? Chief McAllister?
Thank you, Council President Smolik. I sent my report out as well. If you're looking at the physical arrests, it's going to show 36. The physical arrest is actually 12 for the month of September. At 36 is a total of all the charges. And if you all noticed, we have a wrecked vehicle out in front of the building, and texting and driving law did go into effect on October 1st. So we're out looking for those violations, and hopefully we'll be able to stop some cars and save some lives in the meantime. Julia DeWolf just finished DARE. I wanted to give her congratulations. It's a pretty intensive program. She's learned how to essentially teach at an elementary level, learn how to do curriculum, make lesson plans and everything for the school so she can deliver the program there. So it was a lot of work for her over the past couple of weeks. And I want to thank Teresa and the seniors for hosting us today at the Senior Center for the threat assessment training. We're able to get some information out to the seniors about what to do in an active threat scenario. So it's about an hour-long training. We talked about concepts of avoid, deny, defend, or run, hide, fight. And I felt it was very welcoming and hopefully informative for those that were there. And then finally, Jamie Fisher is going through CLE to be certified law enforcement executive. He was also at the Senior Center and had them complete surveys. As part of his capstone project is going to be to see better ways that we can serve the seniors in our community. And I think that was a legitimate conversation because walking away from that, there's a lot that we can be doing as a police department to get information to them, to information on the platforms that they're using. And I think we're going to be able to make a lot of headway with the seniors moving forward. And that'll conclude my report. Open for any questions.
Chief, just wanted to ask about the Jake break and what type of response has there been? And I say this, I was home Friday, and I live on the main route, and between 7 and 12, 5 of them went off in front of my house. So I kind of use the truck traffic as a barometer for the economy because I do notice it. But I also did notice, I believe the sign is still up on the southern end, and the restriction probably should not be there if that law took effect, right?
Yeah, it took effect. I don't know which sign you're referring to.
So on the southern end of 306, yes, I apologize, I didn't name the route.
So Mr. Faneros, he's having the signs currently made right now so we can get those posted. In terms of enforcement, I don't think our officers have come across any violations that they've observed, so they haven't made any traffic stops on it. But they're out there, so I know we're doing traffic, and in the event that it happens, we are going to stop and advise on that.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Anything else for Chief McAllister? Chief McAllister, per the texting, how exactly do you prove that? Just seeing somebody, or do you get to look at the phone, or how does that exactly work for the texting violations?
It's if they have the phone in their hand while they're operating, that's all you need to see. So if you're holding your phone up and you're driving the car, that's all we need in terms to stop you and to issue a citation.
Note to self, put the phone down.
So it's not necessarily texting, is distracted driving is the offense then, right?
I was pulled over and shaker for that because they had these laws in place for some time, which I did not know about. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, it's in your hand.
Shame.
I know. I know. I got to excuse my.
Any other questions for Chief McAllister? On his report, everybody got his report? Okay, on to Mr. Fernando.
Good evening, everybody. I won't steal Doug's report, but road construction is going well on Blueberry and Fox Hill, with Crestwood getting ready to start in a couple weeks. The crew is doing a great job keeping up still with grass. Grass is still growing and never slowed down this year. Baseball and a couple ditch eliminations, and we're still crack sealing. We should finish up Kirtland Lakes tomorrow with crack seal, and that will complete, we have to do Shadowbrook, center seam of Shadowbrook, and that'll complete crack seal. A couple dates for you to remember: October 30th through November 4th will be our fall brush pickup for wards 1 and 4. November 6th through the 10th will be wards 2 and 3.
Sorry, Joe, I can't type that. Wards 1 and 4, what?
October 30th through November 4th, 1 and 4. November 6th through the 10th, wards 2 and 3. October 21st will be shred day at the community center, 8:30 to 11. And on this beautiful 80-degree day, we started working on snow and ice trucks. So it's right around the corner. Mr. Smolik, first snowfall last year, do you remember?
What was the question again? Was it?
First snowfall last year.
Oh, yeah. Come on, Bill.
October 18th.
God bless us.
18 more days.
Any questions for Mr. Fernaro? Forgot to bring my cheat sheet in today. Yep, sorry about that. Okay, well, I know Mr. Fernaro's going to delve in more on the, or sorry, Mr. Courtney's going to delve in more. Mr. Courtney, on the roads.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I will start off with the street program. The base repairs and intermediate asphalt have been placed on both Blueberry Hill and Fox Hill. Concrete aprons on Fox Hill, the ones that were impacted by the drainage project earlier in the year, have been completed. Aggregate drains will be installed on both streets this week, Blueberry and Fox Hill. And surface asphalt will either be Friday or the following, or early next week. We had a pre-construction meeting for the Crestwood Oakwood job with Crestwood, the South Cul-de-sac. That was with Colbert, and that happened last Thursday. Work there is scheduled to begin on October 16th, completed by October 31st. Old Town sewer improvements, I spoke with the county again today. They indicated they're still about 2 to 3 weeks out from the commissioners closing out that contract and accepting the maintenance bond. And as I've indicated previously, once that happens, county will get letters out to the residents in phase 1 area that they can pull permits and connect. ODOT Bridge project, finally got some action on that one. The 306 bridge over the East Branch of the Chagrin. October 19th will be the pre-construction meeting. Either Joe or I or both of us will be in attendance at that meeting. It's going to be a video call. And once we have more information on schedule, we can report back to council on that. The Rockwood Area Stormwater Basin, a pre-construction meeting is set for October 10th. Contractor revised his schedule, is now planning to start work on October 16th or 17th. And that work's expected to take about a week or two.
Where do they anticipate their laydown?
The laydown area,
Yeah.
I have not discussed that yet. We'll get into that with the pre-construction meeting.
But I assume we offer city proper for free to keep the pricing low.
Yeah, I think in that area, they may need to use some of the right-of-way to do that, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Courtney?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Is there an update on phase 2?
The plan specs are done and waiting, I think the advertisement date's going to be later this fall. You're welcome.
Mr. Courtney, I'm not sure if this is directed to you or Matt or council, but I received a letter from Attorney Grant Keating representing individuals down on Saxon. And the letter references water flow that's flowing down on Saxon from the top of the hill off of Maple Bluff, something about some changes in street water flow. Anyway, apparently you got this information, I believe also, you reviewed the area, but as I understand it, for you to do a study of that area to confirm that water is being dumped where it's not supposed to be, or direction has been changed, you need some form of approval from council to do that stormwater study.
Correct. That, I did see that email you're referencing. Thank you for forwarding that. We did meet, Matt Lallo and I and Joe met with the attorney and the homeowners out there last week, 2 weeks ago. And one of the things that I mentioned was, in order to start resolving that issue, one of the first things we need to do is know how much water is actually coming down the hill into the Saxon area. And that's going to take some study. We're going to have to delineate drainage areas, do the runoff calculations, and try and determine how much water we're going to be dealing with before we can just say, okay, put a pipe here or put a pipe there, right? So that statement in that email came directly from our meeting in the field with that attorney and the homeowners in the area. So what I'll be doing is working up a proposal to get over to Joe and the mayor for actually doing that drainage study. And once that comes through, we'll get it to council for authorization.
Did we do some work on top of the hill, or is it part of it?
Not in my tenure here. There does look like there's some newer pipe up there, but whether or not that changed drainage patterns, I don't know the answer to that at this point.
Any other questions for Mr. Courtney? Actually, one for myself. For Fox Hill and Blueberry, how roads look pretty good over there by way of base repair? Did you have to do a little bit of base, more or less, on any of the streets that you've run into this year?
Blueberry had a little more than we anticipated, and Fox Hill had less.
Oh, okay. Still keeping within the cost, so to speak, or the estimate, or the quotes out of them?
Yeah, I think Blueberry is going to be a little tight, but I think we have some savings on Fox Hill that'll offset that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Courtney? Mr. Slapnicker, Mr. Slapnicker actually gave the Finance Committee meeting beforehand. I don't know if you had,
Mr. Smolik, I'm sorry.
oh, sorry, Mr.
Yeah.
Farwell.
Can you please schedule a service committee meeting, please?
Okay,
It gets done at the end. I just want to make sure you had it.
okay.
Thank you.
Service Committee meeting pertaining to
The PMG report.
PMG report?
Yes.
Can you tell me what the PMG report is, so they don't have the acronyms?
We don't do it, we use acronyms.
Pavement management group that we had come and do.
I know Mr. Lowry would have kicked me under the table if I didn't. Okay, so Service Committee, actually, I think I'm still chair on that one. Let's, next week or before next meeting would work, or?
If you could get me out a week, maybe the 23rd would help me,
23rd?
please.
Okay, I will put out, let's not set anything up, put emails, I'll make sure everybody could do that, and we'll confirm that tomorrow. So October 23rd tentatively? Okay, thank you, sir. On to Mr. Slapnicker.
Thank you, Council President. We had our finance meeting this evening, working on closing the September reports. So those numbers, again, were based off of what I have in the system now, but I'll get you those final reports. I have not heard back from Zach, the auditor, regarding our post-audit conference. As soon as I find out, you guys will be the first ones to know. We did receive the Senior Levy 2024 application, so Teresa and I will be working on that with a early November deadline. I did ask for industrial appraisals to push up their timeline to get us in this year. They were able to accommodate that. They will be on city from November 6th through November 17th. And again, this is to value our buildings, inland marine, electronic data processing. This is really for insurance purposes. From my understanding, this has not ever been completed. So this is really important to get good valuations for our upcoming property and casualty insurance renewal. In addition, they're going to be tagging all of our equipment. So we'll have an actual inventory with barcodes for all of our equipment. Okay. We are currently going through 2 renewals. The health insurance renewal, we have it out to market in addition to the county, the purchasing cooperative. We actually do have a meeting this Thursday with the county in regards to our health insurance renewal. And again, hand in hand with the industrial appraisals, we are going to be going through our property insurance renewal here shortly as well. With that, that concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Slapnicker? And for anybody who wasn't in earlier, we had a finance meeting from 6:35 till 7 o'clock and went over quite a bit of the budget where we're at this point of the year.
And just a quick note on the health insurance, once we have our meetings and have a recommendation, that will come across legislation for council.
Quick question on the, you said about tagging the equipment or inventorying the equipment. What exactly is involved in that? Valuation, years, that kind of stuff that they do, or?
They're really tagging the equipment just for inventory purposes. The valuations are really for the property, the buildings, the EDP, which is the electronics. So they're valuing all of that so that when we go through our insurance renewal, we have the proper values being insured.
I know Mr. Fernando's got a pretty good inventory list anyhow, so that's pretty easy. That's a pretty easy task, I take it then, right?
Now it's going to be a long task. I got a box full of tags sitting in my office right now.
Yeah, so you got to put them out.
Quite a bit of work.
Louis, is there a threshold on the value of something? You know what I mean?
Well,
This
our
wrench, this
our
wrench, I mean,
capitalization threshold is $2,500. Yeah, so they'll pretty much look at anything over that. But also keep in consideration that we're able to bulk items. Like, for example, these chairs that are sitting out here, individually, that chair is not worth $2,500, but as a bulk, they would. So likely you might see an asset tag on that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Slapnicker? Mr. Lallo?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a few things to keep you updated on. Over the last probably 2.5 weeks, I know myself and city staff have been inundated with public record requests. We've had, I think, 25 or 30 of them, give or take. It's been a lot. So we're working through those right now. So I appreciate all the staff. I know Teresa, Denise, everybody that's been very helpful in getting us those records. But a friendly reminder to all parties here that if there are open requests, please check your emails and texts and everything and get them over to me. We do have that administrative appeal in court from that zoning case. That the brief is due at the end of the month, so hopefully we'll get a response by the end of the year. We'll see.
Which case is that?
That's
Mr. Lallo?
the accessory building on Silver or
Singlefoot.
Singlefoot. Thank you. Singlefoot. And then on top of that, we have just an update on the former police chief Nasi, the case that's in the federal court system, the 6th District Court of Appeals. Just got an email from our council today that the court decided not to do oral arguments. They're just doing written briefs, and those are all submitted. And that period will close December 6th. So we might get a response on that by the end of the year as well. Then lastly, just had a question or something that I wanted to bring to council and the city's attention is the regarding the street paving program. I think there was a question posed by Mr. Slapnicker regarding any overages that might come into play for one of the streets, what have you, if it needs a change order or not to authorize that. I did review everything. It's my opinion that they will need to do a change order. So if that is forthcoming, you'll have that on the next agenda.
Standard meeting will be fine on that, or do you think you'll need a emergency meeting at all for something?
It wouldn't be an emergency meeting, but it might be a
Okay.
special meeting. I don't know the answer to that. I'll defer to the experts over there.
Okay, very good. Thank
Mr. Lallo, just
Yes.
out of curiosity, would a voice vote of council be,
No,
no?
no. I mean, what it could do is it could at least give an indication to the contractor if they're looking to do something sooner rather than later. Just, hey, listen, it's not official and it's not binding, but hey, we spoke with council and they said, yeah, put it on the next agenda. It doesn't seem to be an issue, obviously. But
I guess what I'm getting at is we'd like to spend all of our budgeted road dollars, right? And if we do extra repairs, and and we're going to go over that 300,000, why, you know, how do we make that happen without a legislation? We have the money budgeted. It's separate projects for
Understood.
my purchase order authority. Just a question.
Understood. So the problem that we have is the most recent legislation capped it at 300,000. So even though it's appropriated in the city's budget for, let's say, 350,000, I don't know what number it is, but the most recent legislation put a limit to it. So unfortunately, that needs to be either amended, like that legislation needs to be amended, or we could just authorize a change order. But because the total project was over 25,000, any increases, it's not subject to the $25,000 threshold. It needs to be authorized by a valid act of council.
And we've had change orders before.
Correct.
When the legislation comes before us, so.
Correct.
I don't see an issue.
So in other words, you're waiting 2 weeks before the contractor can do more work?
I know it's unfortunate because I think everybody would rather get it authorized right now so it all gets done. But
Yeah, we obviously want to stay in.
we got to do things by the book, unfortunately, or fortunate. Yes, you know what I mean.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, I'm always the bad guy.
Freudian slip. Any other questions for Mr. Lallo? Or anything else?
So just to finish that up, I don't know if there will be a need for a special meeting or not. I'll defer to everybody else on that.
Mr. Lally, you mentioned the 6th District Court of Appeals. So you're saying your written arguments need to be in by December 6th?
They're already submitted.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. I know it could take months. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Right. So I would suggest a special meeting. We have the money budget.
Mr. Lallo, does that conclude your report then?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Lallo?
I have one question. You sent a public records request for things pertaining to the MOU, and I sent you one that you weren't initially copied on.
Yes.
But then the one that you sent me in all of council, do I need to send that back to you? Because you have already.
So
was
what I would, if it's easier, the best practice would be, all right, send me an email. I've searched my emails in my records. Here's all I have. Or that email that I forwarded you, that's all I have as it relates to this issue. You know, just to kind of close that loop.
All right. Yeah, I just had that one that was.
Okay. I know. I'll mark it. I know that you're good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lallo? Ms. Zeri, report on Community Center, Senior Center?
Good evening, everybody. As always, I'm full of thank yous. In the past few weeks, we had our annual clam bake, which luckily we had a beautiful day for it. And so thank you, Mr. Ziegler and Mr. Potter for joining us, Mayor Potter for joining us and helping to clean up, which was not necessary, but much appreciated. Today was not only the police department's threat assessment training, which was wonderful. Both Chief McAllister and Lieutenant Fisher really are great with engaging with our community. We're fortunate to have them. But also the Kirtland Area Service Council hosted their fall luncheon for seniors in our building today. I think they had about 60, right, Sharon? Yeah. And did a wonderful job of hospitality and welcoming our seniors from around the community. And so thank you to the Service Council also. And unfortunately, as Mr. Fernaro referenced, I think we're close to probably the end of outdoor pickleball season, probably. And I have to say, again, how many compliments I get on our courts. The Mentor courts apparently were down for a few weeks, and so we had a barrage of Mentor players coming over and playing amongst the Kirtland members as well as some of our residents, and they were just astounded at how well it's kept up. So, Mr. Fernaro, thank you and your team for doing such a great job with that and welcoming both our residents and local community members. Coming up community-wise, I'll continually remind you because there's a lot of dates. Trunk or treat will be on Wednesday, the 25th, from 6:30 to 8. We generally have about 6 locations around the city. Both City Hall and the Community Center are there. Are 2 locations. Service Department, obviously, and Police will be here, and Fire Department is at the Community Center. And would love to have anyone on council join us for that. On the 11th, on Veterans Day, we're doing our annual fall cleanup. So we have a lot of churches and groups that will be going out and assisting with our veterans and our seniors yard cleanup for the fall. And that will be from 8 to 11 on November 11th. And then I'll give you more information about this, but our annual prayer service is going to be on Tuesday, November 21st. So the churches and the minister and leader group has been beginning to work on that. I think we're going to have a record amount of groups and churches from around the city represented. It's always a wonderful event to bring the entire community together, and this year the temple will be hosting. I think that's all, but I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Zeri?
Maybe
A couple on. Go ahead.
maybe it's not for you, maybe it's for Mayor. Do you know when we are going to start the outdoor bathroom build?
When we get a,
Mr. Fernaro? The outdoor bathrooms at the community center.
We went out to bid twice. We received 1 bid for electrical, so we'll be going back out to bid shortly.
Okay, thank you.
What was the trunk or treat day? Was that the 25th or 26th?
That will be Wednesday, the 25th,
What time was that?
6:30 to 8.
A little bit, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Zeri? Thank you, Ms. Zeri. Always look forward to your reports. Thank you. On to Mayor Potter.
thank you, Council President Smolik. I'll try to be brief here. Had a good amount of dialogue so far. So thanks to all the department heads for great reports tonight. Thank you to Louis for staying on top of the finances the way he does and for running that finance meeting. Thank you to Councilman Schultz for scheduling the finance meeting. Thanks to Jim Gibbs from Fairsight Technologies for running a phenomenal RFP process related to potential fiber broadband internet service providers here in the city. And thanks to Mr. Hamer for scheduling that meeting tonight. I think it was a pretty productive conversation. Spent a few hours with Mr. Fernaro on the roads on Saturday morning. It's really good to see our contractors out there professionally paving our roads. So thanks to Mr. Courtney and Mr. Fernaro for that. I don't know if we'll want to have a special meeting or if Mr. Fernaro wants to wait 2 weeks related to keeping a contractor going. Again, we budgeted the money, but probably should have made that threshold more than 300,000 as we look at things now. So I'd hate.
Do we need a special meeting then?
I think I would prefer to see it.
A special meeting would be recommended. That contractor's in town. Mr. Courtney said they'll probably be finishing up by next week. So we're gonna get better pricing if we could get those roads done while they're in town, so.
Okay.
What is the proposed extra expense? I don't know. I'm not certain. I don't know if council knows.
There was two separate quotes. One was
12,000 something, and one was about
it was right
21,000.
around 12,000 and 21. Don't hold me to those numbers.
21,000 or 2,100?
21,000 and 12,000 for the 4 roads. So
And the 12,000 actually just barely puts you over the 300, right? So, because it's at like 288 and change right now, something like that. So it's really close, but it does go over the 300,000.
So we need a meeting ideally scheduled this week or early next week for that approval?
Say again?
We need a meeting scheduled this week or early next week for that?
I mean, let's do it this week if we can.
Okay, what day works for council? Let's go with, it's got to be Thursday or Friday for the notice in the paper.
Not Friday.
Pardon?
Not Friday.
Oh, it's football night, so it's tentatively Thursday. Can everybody make it for Thursday? That would be approximately, 15-minute, half-hour meeting then? That?
Can't imagine it'd
Just
be much more than
making assumptions, you would need 5 people to be there. just assuming you're looking to waive the 3 readings and pass by emergency, so it goes into effect immediately, then you would need 5 people to be present.
Thursday work?
I don't know that.
I'll try. Thursdays are tough for me. It depends on what time you do it.
Thursday, what's ideally earlier, 6
Time.
o'clock?
What time works for you, Brian?
It's got to be before 6. So
Before 6?
5:30. I mean, 5 o'clock would be ideal.
Okay, 5
We'd be
o'clock.
In and out of here.
Can you do 5? Yep. 5?
I can
can
make
do
5
5.
work.
Mr. Hammer? Okay, that gives us 5. And then if anybody, Mr. Schultz or Eric can't make it, so schedule,
So just to follow up, this is additional roads that we're going to get done with these funds, right?
approximately
We're saying, or
24,000
just I know it's a change order, but
and approximately $24,000.
So no, it's gonna allow us to get, which one? Prairie and Farbar done. No, Highland and Hillcrest. Yeah, because Prairie and Farbar puts us at that 300, so really it's gonna get Highland and Hillcrest.
okay.
And
It's a change order to add work to the contract, not an overage on the original contract.
Say it again.
What we could do is we could just have an entirely new piece of legislation to authorize the expenditures for is this was specialized?
So it's going to be additional 101G
Okay.
to make it clean.
Yeah,
Is what
that's probably the best way to do it. Yeah.
Right, because we passed the 101G in the spring, which gives the service director authorization to spend money
Correct.
roads through 101G. We budgeted X,
Yeah.
but we limited ourselves on the 300,000.
Exactly. Originally, we gave the Mr. Fernaro the authority to make these purchases without council approval, so long as it was properly appropriated in the city's budget and the road plan. And then this most recent legislation kind of reined that in a little bit and said he's got authority up to 300,000. And then this is where that piece of legislation kind of hurts.
Hamstrung us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody that's making themselves available. So I guess now that that's set, I would just say I'm open for any questions.
actually, before that, let's, Denise, that's October 5th, 5 o'clock then? October 5th, okay, thank you.
Just so you all are aware, I will not be able to make that meeting.
Okay.
But I'll make sure everything's ready by the 4th in the afternoon. It's
Okay.
a 24-hour notice. We'll try to get we should get the notice out earlier, but we'll make sure that the legislations in the agenda is out to you well in advance. As soon as I have whatever I'm given, I'll make sure it's turned around for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it, Mr. Lello. Mayor, anything else then?
No, I'm open for questions.
Any question for Mayor Potter?
Mayor, will Eddie Eckert be coming before council anytime soon to give a report?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'd asked him to come to the next meeting.
Okay, all right, and I just wanted to, I appreciate the time Mr. Courtney gave me this afternoon regarding some of your monthly report, talking about Route 6 and 306 and the development there. And do we know when a time frame would take place as to the citizens knowing about the sewers? I got an inquiry, and thank you again, Mr. Courtney, for explaining kind of a pretty detailed project, but I counted up maybe roughly about 135 parcels along 306 to get to that intersection. And the question was, if sewers go there, do they need to be tied in? And I know Mr. Courtney laid out, they may or may not, but at what point in this process would that be known?
I mean, I think we're pretty darn early at this point before we would even know where the funding's coming from. You know what I mean?
Okay, so there's been no grants applied for?
No, we have to have a kind of a project estimated before to start applying for grants, I would say. But
We're still in fairly preliminary discussions with Department of Utilities on it, reviewing the old sewer studies and waiting for some data from Department of Utilities on what the actual flows to the Markel station are and that kind of thing. So, and I think we talked about that a little bit too.
So Mayor, is that sale pending? Is it under contract for that land, or is it just the discussion.
The Markel Station?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, he's asking about-
On that parcel of land.
As far as I know, there's a purchase agreement in place, and there's due diligence periods within that, different, 6 months, 12 months, I've never seen the contract, so I can't necessarily say exactly how it's spelled out, but certainly getting sewers to that corner is going to be probably the linchpin related to that project. So having some good basis and solid understanding that we can make that happen.
All right, so we can anticipate Mr. Eckert being here next.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know we were already up, I think, two committee meetings.
2 committee meetings.
Mr. Lowry noticed the meeting for the 16th, and then we just noticed another utility meeting.
Oh, Eddie can report during the main meeting also.
Okay.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you meant.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mayor Potter? Thank you, Mayor. Okay, on to standing committee reports. Actually, Mr. Hammer had a utility committee meeting today from 5:30 till 6:30, actually 6:35. What was the date you guys have scheduled for the next one then? What was the actual date?
That'd be the 16th.
10/16? Okay. Ms. Raleigh will put that out then?
What time?
What time did you guys want?
We have, no, we have meetings, discuss term limits, but I'm not sure what time we scheduled it for. Can you tell us?
That was tentatively scheduled for following the council meeting,
Oh, following, okay.
that one.
So you want the 6 o'clock time then, or what did you get?
6, good around that?
Okay. 6 o'clock good with you, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 10/16/23 Utilities Committee meeting. That's a follow-up pertaining to the internet. Okay. 16, okay, very good. That's okay, that's 16. Okay, Ms. Raleigh on 10/16/23 for the Utilities Committee pertaining to fiber optics broadband at 6 p.m., followed by the council meeting, followed by the meeting as a whole of council for term limits, correct? Mr. Lowry? Okay, and then we're going to, I've got to get back to the 10/23/23, get everybody on board for Mr. Fernaro's service committee meeting pertaining to PMG reports, which I will put something, a notice out tomorrow for you guys. Any other standing committees? None at this time? Correspondence. I did not see any correspondence, Ms. Raleigh. Okay, thank you.
No, we do. We have the zoning permit application.
Oh, shoot, okay, I think I did print that out. Was that the one pertaining to Ray Tentor?
Yes.
Okay. Pardon? Maybe, I don't know. Okay, we have a City of Curtin application for zoning permit, non-maintained streets, lot owner's name. Do I read this, Mr. Lilo, in the entirety? In its entirety, I read this? Public correspondence?
No, I'm not even.
Sorry, I distracted.
I pass that down.
It's the-
Is this one of the permits for parks? No, you don't need to read it in its entirety. It's asking for a permit because the street is not dedicated yet.
Okay.
Traditionally, council would approve these, the issuance of these permits without there being a dedicated street, knowing that in the near future, that street will be dedicated. So we've
Okay.
done this a few times already.
Okay.
So it's,
Trying to think what the last one was,
exactly.
about 6 months ago.
It's an application for council's approval for the issuance of that permit for the address.
Right, for the owner, lot owner, Ray Tentner, 10358 Wilbur Drive, Portland, Ohio, 44094. Type of structure, colonial. Name of subdivision, Parks Farm Road, 2 acre, sublot number 8.
Okay, so at this point, you could ask for a vote for council to approve the issuance of that permit.
I'd like to ask for a vote for council to approve.
Mhm. There you go. Is a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion?
Any discussion?
There being none.
I'm
And
sorry,
what's the,
did you not get who
who's-
made the motion?
Oh,
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Scholes made the motion, Mr. Fenstermaker
Matt
seconded.
and Ron? Thank you.
If
Go
you
on,
could call the
wait.
roll, please.
Roll call then?
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Lowry?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Ms. Garzia?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. So when we open up to the public, anybody have, step up to the microphone here, state your name and address, please. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
It's been a while. Barb Duca, 8850 Eagle Road. So actually, I'm here because I do have some concerns. Primarily, I guess I should talk to all of you, but Kevin also. I'm concerned about the idea of the town center. I don't think Kirtland is the city for that. I'm concerned about bulldozing this building down or whatever other plans you have, and also the Veterans Park. So I just wondered, you know, what the plans are. Are you bringing it to the voters so that we all have a say in this development of this magnitude?
Yeah, so thanks, Ms. Duca. It's always good to see you. So I would say this, you know, we put this out in, I think, Marus Development came to planning and zoning in early May, I think it was, with this concept. It was exactly that. It was a concept, an idea. And we said at that time that the community would have, you know, plenty of opportunity to weigh in and to let us know what they thought about, you know, that project or any project, you know, whether it was this property or properties to our south. So it's really just about getting a conversation started. I can tell you this, you're not alone, and I've heard a lot of people say exactly what you've just said about, you know, removing City Hall or moving City Hall. Certainly the same thing about Veterans Memorial. When you ask about, you know, would it be put to a vote if City Hall, a vote of the people, right? Vote of our residents as a referendum. If a project, if it was the right project for the city, it would absolutely go to the people to vote yes or no. I can tell you this, we're so incredibly far away from what a right project might be. I think through the process, whether it's been coffees with council, or those individual conversations, you know, from in this building to Dollar General or a football game, you know, hearing from folks, and now obviously going out and knocking doors talking about, you know, an election coming up, get a real good chance to hear from our folks here in the town. And your concerns are the same concerns as a lot of people. That's why I asked a couple of our residents, 4 of our residents and Mr. Fenstermaker to sit with me and to reach out to the community. And exactly what you just said here is the concern of the community. So it's hard for me to imagine that the project wouldn't, a potential project wouldn't change direction considerably, right? From what we saw in those initial renderings is that idea.
Okay. Well, I'm just hoping that you do listen to the residents. And I hope this does go to the vote of the people, because I honestly don't think that it would pass. I really don't. A lot of us moved here for this atmosphere that we have. And I think we need progress, but maybe not at that magnitude. And, you know, I'm just thinking of some of the past things that have happened. You know, getting rid of dispatch. I know that's old stuff, but there's reason I bring that up. Because a lot of times, past behavior is future behavior. You know, when you got into office, Kevin, then you fired them. And so now I'm worried about that, because you say that you maybe would bring it to the vote of the people, but would you? You know?
I can say this, you have 7 people that sit up there that would, you know, along with myself and hearing from the community, make that decision to put it to the voter. So It's not a dictatorship here whatsoever. And I know that our council people, every last one of them, have, you know, to some degree or another, expressed, you know, interest and or concerns about the original renderings, which was, again, a concept and an idea to get a conversation started. We've been talking for about 15 years here or more in the city of Kirtland, whether it's through planning commission, you know, comprehensive planning, historic town center, ordinances and redistricting. So through those processes, community strategic planning events, surveys, and we hear, those elements that the Maroos development team put together in that original rendering, places for people to live and shop and work and dine and, coffee shops, those kinds of things. So I think, again, you tell them what the elements of what our residents have been asking for so long, and they put something on paper, and now here we are sitting there, listening to our folks, and certainly nothing will be done without broad support from our residents. And if it included this building, I can tell you this, it'll go to a vote of the people, not of the council. It'll start with
I've
council.
lived here a very long time, and I've seen so many things come and go. That concerns me too, that we'd end up with a lot of vacant buildings also, after. And I do want to say the pickleball courts are great. Actually, I'm here on an invitation by Mr. Jim by Skosel or something. So those were my concerns, and I appreciate you giving me your time.
Thanks, Mr. Duca.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Any other public comments on matters not on the agenda? Right on up, sir. I know your name, but you still got to repeat it.
Jim Viscasil, 8415 North Locust. All I want to say is we had a little feud going on Facebook the other day. That's all it was. We're friends. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Well, I just want to let you know that Catherine
name and
and I
address,
will,
please.
hi,
Name and
Linda Davidson. I just want to let you know, Catherine and I won't be doing candidates night
Did I get
because
a name and address?
10640 Rockwood Road, Rockwood Drive. Okay, we're not going to be doing candidates night because, I can put on different hats, but I guess, and I've done it 6 times where Doug has run or Catherine has run, and there's never been a problem. But the League of Women Voters will take over everything, okay? I will be picking up the baked goods. I hope that's not an issue. Okay, so anyway, they're taking over, and that'll be great. I really have concerns about this town center. I have concerns about the impact of our schools. I have the concerns of the new Willoughby one going up by the country club. I don't know how many more kids our school can take. I mean, I was on the facilities committee for 9 years, and we went through a process. We went to the voters 3 times, and we had to put a jigsaw puzzle together. And we didn't all agree. I mean, we had times where John Bodner and I weren't invited to meetings because we didn't agree with the rest of the group. So it wasn't, but it was a great representation of our community, and that's why it worked out. Okay, the impact on the schools, I don't know how many more kids the school can take. 100? 200? I mean, we're already using closets. We're already using janitors' closets. We had to be so creative in the facilities thing because we basically paved over parking lots and made science labs. And I think we did a great job. But anyway, bringing in tax money is fine. And I want that, and I want some more businesses. I want it to be more organic. I really don't want this like fake town built. Anyway, I just lost my thought there. It's just, if we bring in things more organically, I think it'll be a little bit better. But I worry about the schools. We got to do the impact, and I heard that you guys were going to internally do the impacts on economics and schools, and that's not a good thing. I mean, you're going to internally do the impact of how the schools are going to be impacted.
We haven't decided how to do anything yet. We put this out to the community to have this conversation, right?
Because that's usually not typically how it's done, as per John Plesnick. He told me that.
So,
Ms. Davidson, actually, Mayor Potter, per the Willoughby thing, that has nothing to do with Kirtland.
That Willoughby school won't affect us?
If I'm Mr. Lallo, I'm just for this recently in the years if possible. Willoughby development going on over by Kirtland Country Club. Is that what it?
That's our school district.
Yes, but the city, we would have nothing to do with that. You'd have to talk to.
Oh, no, but I just meant, no. I meant as far as the impact on the schools. We've got that plus the,
We don't
plus
do that
this.
assessment on what Willoughby
Yeah.
builds and how it
Okay.
affects the schools. That would be the schools
Okay.
who do that.
It's all the same taxpayers, you know?
The city does not do anything for Willoughby.
I know. I'm just saying, when we do the figuring, if we get more students from over there, we're gonna have to figure them in.
And that would be a school issue. Something was built.
Oh,
there,
I
and then it would
know,
be a
but
city
it's
issue.
still, still that should be on you're gonna do an impact, right?
So, Mrs. Davidson, first I would say that thank you for all the work you did do in the schools, because obviously that project turned out really well for this community. So my kids benefit from it every day. You know, I'd be happy after the election's over if you want to sit down and talk about how you guys did that process, right? I'd be certainly happy to hear from you, somebody that sounds like it was integral in that process. So, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be after the election. It can be before if you'd like. But there's no foregone conclusions, no deals made, nothing done in the dark of the night. This council would vote on any potential project only after the community has had much time, much opportunity to weigh in on this project and tell us exactly what they'd like to see for whether it's here or down the road, right? So just to allay your concerns and fears, and I know it's political season, and people like to get riled up and you know, knock on doors and spread some disinformation, but the truth of the matter is this group of council here, certainly our law director, Eddie Eckert, myself, there's no way that anyone would do anything that is not completely above board, number one, and number two, with the full support and engagement of the community. Right now, it's a little tough to have the conversation, I'll be honest with you, because of the political dynamics and people trying to make an issue out of this. But this was always intended to be, to have our community have every opportunity to weigh in on a potential project. So we don't sit much further today, actually no further today than we did in April or May.
Okay, I just want to, like I said, yeah.
So you're mentioning the downtown area becoming, you know, bringing in businesses organically. I'm trying to understand what you mean.
Well, instead of building like a fake town is what I would call this, you know, the mayor of Sheffield Village has brought in 200 different businesses. They haven't been, you know, it's just like, we've got like 2 1950 strip stores that could be enhanced. I just worry that we're taking the prettiest part of Kirtland and making it very dense living. And then, you know, where are we going to have green space? That's our pretty space. We have so many other spaces that could be, you know, made prettier, made nicer, you know. And then I just think, if you look down 306, you can have a strip store, you can have down the block, Ken's building, the bank, the gas station, the apartments, and then in the library, you can have the police station in front of that, and solid all the way to Creighton's. And it's just, that is a huge amount of density. And I just want my green space. I don't know. I don't understand selling City Hall. So that's
Ms. Davidson, per organic, I would have to agree that the city has been growing fairly organically, you know, over the 8 years that I've been kind of in council and
yeah, it has.
all the businesses. I mean, you've got the bakery, you've got a new grocery store, Endura Plastic gets filled up. I mean, every time if something goes up, something fills up. I mean, Mr. Ziegler's got a business down over that's pretty much filled up that whole plaza down there. I think it's been growing fairly organically, you know, for the last, 8 years that I've been here. You got a grocery store you didn't have before. You got a bakery. You got a Richard's Maple Syrup.
Grocery store, you mean Dollar General?
You get Richard's Maple Syrup just opened up. I believe they got a meat counter there.
Yeah.
Mike's meat market.
No, I can see that, but you know, taking this density in the middle of town is really.
Like I say, nothing has been in stone on this. That's,
yeah.
You know, it's not a.
But this has been conversations for
Yeah.
decades in Kirtland. I mean, I've lived here forever. and We've always talked about enhancing the downtown area, and this is all a continuation of that with
Yeah, okay,
ideas.
but if we sell our prime piece of real estate, number one, how do we get loans later?
I'm not a banker.
I mean, if you need a loan for something, we don't have any real estate left.
Mr. Lallo, I don't believe any of our loans are secured by property, are they?
They're not? Okay, okay. Yeah. Well, it needs to be cleaned on the side here. It's disgusting.
And Ms. Davis, I must thank you. I've been 2 candidates nights. You and Ms. Talty have done fantastic jobs every candidate night.
Okay, well, thank you.
very
But Linda, don't go anywhere.
Well,
Linda,
I
Miss
can't
Davidson.
remember. Huh?
No, just don't go anywhere yet. You turn around to walk away. I wanted to stop you. I want to thank you for coming here tonight. I want to thank you for asking your questions and your concerns. I can tell you from my perspective, the town hall stuff and discussions were purely that. There were discussions on concepts. All the stuff that's been flying around, there's been no commitment to sell the building. None of that. There's been discussions in the notes you'll see from the MOUs and discussions with committees of green space. So there was some very healthy discussions, very good comments back from the community and the residents. But I can assure you, nothing was going anywhere like it was being perceived. That's a very slow, long process when you talk about the development of property. And I will say this too. When we talk about economic development in the city of Kirtland, if council and administration don't at least vet these things out and have those discussions, then we're not doing what you asked us to do in the first place, which is find ways to improve revenue into the city. There were discussions. There was nothing being done behind the scenes that says sign up to sell City Hall to generate money. They were discussions to look for opportunities to see if it was a fit. And that was purely it. If there was a next step, then it would have been a completely different discussion, right? Which is what the mayor was saying. So I want to stress, there's a lot of misinformation with that. There was plenty of opportunities to come to council when we first talked about this. It hit the papers, we published it, we put it on the websites, and then we hear, well, we're selling City Hall. We never said we were selling City Hall, okay? Those were just all the discussion points on the development. Keyword, conceptual plan.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
so I
Listen,
just
like
wanna stress that.
like I said, I did the facilities committee for 11 years. When I saw that plan, I was horrified. We would have never in the committee let that go.
So were we. We looked at that and said, there's no way
We did
this
the
plan's
surveys first. We did the community groups first and the networking first. And we took 2.5 years to come out with the first plan, I think.
Understood, but I want to thank you
Yeah.
for coming tonight.
You know, when you shoot out a plan like that, you scare people.
Stacy, I want to add a couple comments also. Ron, thank you. I totally agree with you. Yeah, there's a huge misconception also out there that this is on a fast track to get approved and get finished. If it is, I'm not sure where that fast track's coming from, because we had maybe 2 discussions in council about it. Saw one architecture drawing, the same one you did in the newspaper. And I have to say this, I commend our mayor for making it an opportunity at least to do something in our community that the community is asking for. So I commend the mayor for going out there and sticking his neck on the line and finding somebody who put their money up front to come up with a conceptual plan, something that's conceptual, that has no bearing on fast track through, done in the dark of night, without the community involvement. So please, stop those rumors out there. They're not true. That's just my thought.
The idea came from a big community survey.
And we're talking,
I was going to say that.
and to that,
The community asked for that. That's exactly right.
per, Mr. Webb, 1 second, please. But per the,
7790 Russellhurst Drive. I heard everything you people just said, and you especially. Why did we not have 3 readings if everything you just said was true? One question, why not 3 readings?
You mean on the
MOU?
The MOU, is that what you're
That's
referring
the
to?
ordinance with an emergency.
Mr. Lowell, the ordinance was that we would allow, it was a resolution.
Why didn't you have the 3? You spent all this time, months, meetings. One question, why not 3 readings so that people had a choice in it?
People do have the choice.
You're asking, if you clarify,
I would.
Explain yourself a little bit more clearly.
I would just ask the former councilman if he ever passed anything waiving the 3 readings. I bet if we went back and looked at that record, we'd probably see that, so.
And Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb, per the 3 readings? Hold on a second. Mr. Webb, per the 3 readings?
Yeah.
Okay, so council would have given these, regardless whether we went 3 readings or just did pass them, per the 3 readings or not having 3 readings, that MOU was for 6 months. You would have extended that out another 6 weeks. It was out there publicly. Why weren't you at the meeting? Mr. Webb, why I haven't heard from you since then, or from.
I think Mr. Webb made his statement, and I'd like to make a statement also. Doug Davidson, 10290 Chillicothe Road. So I think the legislation from Mr. Lalo came in on the 1st of May. Yeah, to the councilman. And you approved it on the first reading in an emergency on the 3rd. I believe the ordinance calls for 5 days from inbox to give you people an opportunity to look at it, think about it, discuss it with the electorate. And there is no rush because you want to do it right. I know you want to do it right. But it does call into question. You give 2 days basically to look at the legislation. And it's a powerful MOU. And there's no need not to go through the 3 readings. It's in the ordinance. I think it's 220.23, perhaps.
And that can be waived by a vote of 5 council members.
Yeah, you could waive it. Well, it's a guideline and it's there for a reason. So you could discuss it and get into detail. It's not a big rush. So that's what I got to say. Fair enough. Thank you.
Any response? Thank you, Mr. Davidson. Thank you, Mr. Webb. Thank you, Ms. Davidson. Any other public comments? Not at this point. Okay, on to old business. Only one on the old business today. Any public comments on the agenda items of old business? Okay, resolution number 23-R-65. Second reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a bid of Waste Management of Ohio and to enter into a 5-year contract for solid waste and recycling collection for the city of Kirtland. Any discussion? And this will be going to a 3rd reading, I believe. Mr. Fernando? Thank you. Any discussion on that? Okay, on to new business, of which there is none. That brings us to council comments. Any council comments? Any continuing concerns, whether that's from the residents or from council?
Mr. Smolik, Council President Smolik, just to follow up and clarify, all the way through this process, whether it was Council President, former Council President Jeff Ruppel, certainly the law director, certainly more recently Mr. Fenstermaker, you want to talk about wheels turning slowly, right, related to a potential town center project. I cannot iterate and reiterate enough how this community has had a chance and will continue to have a chance, especially when the politics settles down here, to weigh in on what the best path forward for this community is. That MOU was simply to, give us the opportunity and chance to potentially, if we could get to the right project that the community was not only well informed in, but well on board with, to negotiate something. We never got anywhere close to that. And now, again, it's politics season, so we're not going to get anywhere closer. I think our record here is pretty clear of talking to our residents, listening to our residents, hearing our residents' voices, putting the brakes on things. In this case, there's not even any brakes to hit because, we're nowhere close to this. So, there is nothing more that we're going to be talking about anytime soon. I can tell you that. And when that day comes, if I'm still a part of that conversation, the community's going to hear, the community's going to weigh in. This council's going to weigh in, a council's going to weigh in, department heads are going to weigh in, the school's going to weigh in. You know, it's, I get it. I get what season it is, but it's, when you need something to run on and make an issue, this is what you do. And I think that's what we've seen, and it's very unfortunate. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mayor Potter. And with that, any other continuing concerns from residents or council? Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Aye.